These three wide receivers are heading into the 2024 NFL training camp with the pressure on their backs to perform. I'm going to talk about who they are and why their offenses need them. That and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. You can find and follow me on X at DP_NFL. I'm a senior draft analyst, and thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shot for being our everydayers. Guys, training camp preview, three wide receivers that are under pressure to perform this 2024 NFL training camp, starting with Xavier Legette over with the Carolina Panthers. The explosive rookie needs to bring explosive plays and get that chemistry down with Bryce Young. We'll talk about that. Andrei Iosivas, the second-year receiver, Ivy League receiver out of Princeton, must prove his worth for the Cincinnati Bengals. And Demario Pop Douglas, it's his time to shine for the New England Patriots. Before we can get into any and all of that, guys, LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Xavier Legette, the 6'1", 220-pound wide receiver out of the University of South Carolina, that took him a little. He took the longer road to produce and be who he became for the Gamecocks. Had to overcome a lot of adversity and leap over a lot of hurdles. But he has a lot of pressure for the Carolina Panthers. They traded up to the 32nd pick from pick 33 to 32, and they selected him with the last pick in the first round of the 2024 NFL draft class. And the reason I believe that he has a lot of pressure to perform, and for me, I think it's kind of simple, though. The reason why he has pressure to perform is because we've seen, I'm not calling it a failed experiment, but we saw what happened last year with Jonathan Mingo. Xavier Legette, I know, and there's a lot of fans in the Carolina Panthers fan base that say, man, they're basically the same player, but they're not, because Xavier Legette to me was always a more explosive, better ball skills, catch point dominance, also a better route runner, a guy who knew how to use stem, body angling, different things like that to win, even though he was still kind of raw in that regard coming out of South Carolina. So looking at it overall, for me, I think it's big for him because of the Jonathan Mingo situation, but also when you have a second-year quarterback who went from the darling of the draft to, man, maybe the Carolina Panthers made a mistake. Yeah, you're brought in as a first-round pick to help fix that, not to be the lone and sole reason, but to help fix it. Yes, with that brings some type of pressure. And I think when you add in the fact you bring in Deontay Johnson, right? You have Adam Thielen, you bring in Jatavian Sanders and Jonathan Brooks and everything else. Adding Xavier Legette, we need to see the big explosive plays. Now, getting that chemistry down with Bryce is going to be big, because one of the things I've always criticized Bryce for is the deep ball outside the numbers when he can't anticipate it. So if it's like, okay, I can't get it out there early and let my guy run underneath it, can I put it out there and push it out there? And he only has a step to maybe a step and a half of separation vertically. Can I still put it over the right shoulder, but not just out over the outside shoulder away from the DB? Can I push it out in front to where he can go and get the ball? Because I'm going to tell you something, guys. I said it on this podcast a few times. Jonathan Mingo did not have a great rookie season. He had a disappointing season. But when he won vertically, Bryce didn't hit him. So that connection between Xavier Legette and Bryce is going to be needed. The difference is I do think you see more of the horizontal explosive plays, the shallow crossers, the mesh concepts, the deep overs and benders, post patterns. Bryce is a better deep thrower, in my opinion, throwing in the middle of the field down the hashes, between the hashes, rather than throwing outside the numbers where the space is very much more limited. So when I look at Xavier Legette, he's got to come out there and be who for Bryce Young, who he was for Spencer Rattler, that big, physical, dominant at the catch point. Remember, I think the website had him listed at like 6'3". right? South Carolina was at 6'3". It was like, man, this dude's 6'3", 220, moving the way he moves with the speed and explosiveness and leaping ability that he brings to the table. Then we get to the Senior Bowl, and he was like 6'1". But he still was 220 at the combine. He ran the 4.39. He did all the things. He checked all the other boxes, right? All the things that you wanted him to see. It was fine. It was perfect. I think for me, I just look at it from this aspect. I 100% believe that Xavier Legette should be their big playmaker all 2024. So when you talk about, when you hear someone, when you checking the apps, you're like, man, Bryce just had a big explosive touchdown, a big explosive 40, 50-yard throw down the field or pass that went for that amount of yardage. To me, I need to expect. I want to expect that was Xavier Legette. Not saying that Deontay Johnson can't bring that. Jonathan Mingo 4.46 in the 40, I think, or whatever he ran. I think it was a 4.46. He's got enough speed. I'm telling you, he can get vertical. But you talk about true explosive plays. That is Xavier Legette, a guy who topped over 22 miles, almost 23 miles on the GPS once or twice during the 2023 college football season. Yes, when I look at that situation, I 110% believe that the explosive plays need to come from Xavier Legette. I need to see it, because I know that's what he brings to the table. And I think that's what Bryce needs, because the team that wants to run the ball at the Carolina Panthers with Dave Canales, I'm going to say this. I don't believe that he is the Mike Evans of this offense. I don't. But could he be the Chris Godwin, like that power slot movement receiver? 100%. And he's going to bring more explosiveness than Chris Godwin. The Mike Evans thing is tough because Mike Evans is like 6'5". I don't know how we say a 6'1" receiver is going to be, a 6'5", receiver. It's just not going to happen for me. I can't do that. The same thing with I think the other comp is DK Metcalf. DK is 6'4", 240, guys. Like, I'm sorry. You could call him DK Light if you want. Maybe Dez Bryant. I don't really care. I just don't think that we can put him, I didn't check Dez Bryant's height real quick. Let me do that real quick before I say that. Before I close that. But yeah, Dez Bryant is way more apropos. It's just 6'2", 218. Yep, that's right on brand, right on the spot, But I just look at Xavier Legette and his fit into this offense. I think the quick game was going to go to Deontay and Adam Thielen early, but I do think that you can get him. You want to get him touches in the quick game as well. In South Carolina, he lined up everywhere, like in the slot, out wide, in bunch, in the backfield, motioned out of the backfield. You can do those type of things with him and create those advantageous matchups. I'm not saying that you line him in the backfield and you run him on inside zone or power plays like Deebo Samuel. No. And by the way, Deebo Samuel loves that's his guy, right? If you watch the Netflix wide receiver or receivers series, year 2 after the quarterback series last year, Deebo during the bye week went back to South Carolina and saw, his boy, Xavier Legette, in person, went, supported him and everything like that. There's a strong bond those two have. And there's a lot of similarities between their games, especially being physical, run after the catch option. That's why I said I think in the quick game, you can get Xavier Legette going simply because you think about getting him a slant, a smoke screen, a quick hitch, a quick curl, in an outbreaker. You get him something quick where the ball is in his hands immediately from Bryce, who's a timing and rhythm thrower. And you get that ball in his hands on the perimeter, one-on-one. A lot of cornerbacks are going to have a tough time trying to bring this big physical, like muscular build wide receiver to the ground with initial contact. You're going to try to hold them up and hope for the rally that is your teammates to come and help bring him down to the ground. Because if not, he's going to break free. And then that's when you really get into some dangerous territory and murky waters with him. Because if he gets into open field, it can be a house call. Okay. You talking about the phone ringing? Yes. Ring is a house call. And it's Xavier Legette getting 6 points and putting 6 points on the board. So I think there's pressure on this young man to go out there and perform early in camp, right? Get that chemistry down, stay healthy, right? I know there was a scare, I think, with his hamstring during OTAs and all that. But yes, stay healthy and go out here and perform. Bryce Young needs you. The Carolina Panthers need you. And I'm excited to see what he's going to look like in this Dave Canales offense. But guys, coming up next, we're going to going down Cincinnati, talking about their second-year Ivy League Princeton wide receiver Andrei Iosivas. He's got a lot of other young talent now in that wide receiver room with him. He's got to go out there and prove his worth during this training camp. We'll talk about that and more coming up next. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Guys, I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games. And the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And guys, right now on FanDuel.com, if you go there, you can start betting on preseason favorites for NFL and college football. You're talking about MVPs, playoffs, Heisman, college football playoff teams and opportunities. Also, who's going to win the national championship? You can bet on all of that right now. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. Head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer, because FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Andrei Iosivas, second-year wide receiver from Princeton for those Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, if there's a guy that has some pressure to perform, it's my guy, who I really took to him at the Senior Bowl, spent some time with him off the field. Great person, great dude, incredibly hard worker, great teammate, all of that stuff. Listed at 6'3", 205 pounds. He was a 6th-round pick last year. So a lot of people, those who are very big into they drafted this guy 5th round or this guy in the 2nd round after him, or before him, whatever. Those type of, if you're that type of person, yes, Andrei Iosivas has an uphill climb, and I totally understand it. But for me, the reason why the pressure is on him, he must prove his worth this training camp. And the reason why, we know that eventually we're not going to see Tee Higgins in a Cincinnati Bengals uniform. And for Andrei Iosivas, he needs to go out there and handle business and handle it early. And the reason why, and handle it all throughout camp, because when you look at the other receivers they brought into this room, right, and not just other receivers that they brought in. So, of course, you got Jamar Chase, who does everything: route running, speed, ball skills, everything, right? Run after catch. He's a total package. Trenton Irwin, who's a veteran slot receiver who can play the Z, can play the slot, can run routes and be exactly what Joe Burrow needs him to be. Then you have, of course, Tee Higgins, who's the big body, post up, power forward, aerial assassin who has body control, catch radius, ball skills, all of that good stuff to make plays at the catch point, back shoulder fades, all of that. Then, of course, you have Charlie Jones, who they drafted, I believe, 5th round last year. And then they drafted Jermaine Burton, round 2 of the 2024, round 3 of the 2024 NFL draft class. So Charlie Jones and Charlie Jones, 4th round pick, actually, and Jermaine Burton being the 3rd in the last 2 drafts ahead of where Andrei Iosivas was selected. Yes, there is some, dare I say, pressure to perform with these young men in the same wide receiver room. But here's why I think that he can handle he can go out there, and if he goes out there and handle business, why he will open the eyes of the coaches and gain even more trust, faith, and kind of lock down a specific role. If anybody, there's only one body type that on that roster that fits what Tee Higgins has, and that's Andrei Iosivas. As much as I love Jermaine Burton, he's not the big physical aerial assassin type receiver that is Tee Higgins. He's not going to dominate the catch point. He's not going to box guys out on slants and end breakers, right? He's not going to post you up in the red zone. You're not going to throw 100, not 100. You're not going to throw a ton of fades to him, against bigger, taller, longer cornerbacks in the red zone. Yes, you're not going to do those, but you can do those things with Tee Higgins. You can do those things with Andrei Iosivas. And for me, Iosivas, even though he was an older rookie, I believe he was 23 years old coming out of the draft, or as a rookie. I remember talking to him just kind of off the field, just at the Senior Bowl last year. We just chopping it up about people were wondering he didn't fare as well early in practices, and it was because at Princeton during the Ivy League, they didn't practice a lot of the same things that most football teams do, the one-on-ones, the route running, and everything else. They didn't focus on that. And he's like, the Senior Bowl practice was the first time that he had worked on those specific things since like high school. So he was highly removed from it, 4 or 5 years removed from practicing that and working on that and dealing with that press coverage and everything else day to day, snap after snap, rep after rep. And when you are that size, 6'3", 205 pounds, 210, like this is a big, strong young man with good open field speed. He can stretch. He can open that stride. He's a long strider. He's an owner stride, and he can really open it up and run. And I think for him, just going out there and proving, hey, I get it. You drafted Jermaine. You drafted Charlie Jones. I get it that T is going to probably be off this team after the season. Who knows? Maybe those young guys combined make them more welcoming to a mid-season trade if they need a different position upgrade. Maybe it's corner, edge, linebacker, whatever it is. I'm just saying safety, whatever. Doesn't really matter. If they want to improve another spot on the team, they could do that by trading him and getting a pick and a player of some sort or whatever. But if you have to wait until after the 2024 NFL season, then fine. We know that Tee Higgins is not going to be there. So the point is, for Iosivas, just go out there and handle that business and say, listen, when T leaves, these guys can't do what T can do, but I can. And I think, like I said, the ball skills, the catch radius, the ability to post up on in-breaking routes. That's the thing. When we talk about body composition when scouting guys at the receiver position, the reason why some like smaller receivers get knocked, like a Jordan Addison and Tank Dell, great route runners, speed, explosiveness, twitch, all that good stuff. Those guys, Josh Downs, same thing included. When they run an in-breaker in the slant, you can play through their body to get to the ball. For a bigger wide receiver on those specific routes, you can, but it's more difficult to play through that body, that frame of 200 pounds, wider, longer arms. So when they extend at the catch point, it's harder to punch through the pocket. It's harder to rake through the hands and all the other technical terms we teach DBs to do at the catch point. It's harder to do that with a bigger body. So that's why bigger body receivers do tend to get more love. But it's only, to me, a lot of times it's more so specific in terms of role and positioning. You need an X. To me, I think long term, Iosivas will probably, if he can carve out that role, will be a great compliment. Similar to Tee Higgins for Ja'Marr Chase, because Ja'Marr Chase doesn't have to play the X. He can play the slot. He can play the Z. He can play those positions. If you start moving him around pre-snap and post breaking the huddle to where defenses are saying, where's Waldo? Like they're looking for Ja'Marr. Where's one? Where's Uno? Right? You hear the call. Where's Uno? Where's one? And they're trying to find him after the huddle breaks. Andrei Iosivas is at the X, right? And then you have Ja'Marr go opposite side of the field as the Z, and you have Jermaine in the slot. Then you kind of make a pre-snap adjustment and call. Joe Burrow does, Joe Cool does. Now you got Ja'Marr Chase working back down into kind of a condensed set, almost stack or bunch close to Jermaine Burt. Now you can't get hands on. I'm giving this explosive, dynamic, physical receiver a free release. Now we got levels playing, and we get to attack levels with patience and different release timings. And oh man, we get to really stress these defensive secondaries, right? And then what's going to happen is you're going to pull that, you're going to pull coverage to their right side. They're going to give Andrei Iosivas one-on-ones. So now you can get that slant going, one-on-one. You can get that back shoulder fade going, that quick curl, that hitch, right? You can get those things going one-on-one. Dare I say, if you can get play action going, get the run game going, and do those things that I just talked about, now you get the safety biting forward, false stepping, trying to shade too far over towards Ja'Marr. Now I got a post backside, wide open, touchdown, 60 yards. So I think that they're like Andrei Iosivas needs to go out there and again just handle business. If he does that, they'll be in a very, very good spot. But guys, you want to talk about being in a good spot? Demario Pop Douglas. It is his time to shine for those New England Patriots coming off a pretty solid rookie campaign. Now you got Jacoby Brissett, you got Drake May, you have Alex Van Pelt, Gerard Mayo's the new face of the franchise as the head coach, a new GM as well, all new, all things new in New England. So let's talk about that. What Pop Douglas needs to do to command that wide receiver one role for the New England Patriots in the 2024 NFL training camp. We'll talk about that coming up next. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you find and hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else. Even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but they might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. Guys, LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. Okay, 2.5 small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. New England Patriots second-year wide receiver Demario Pop Douglas, listed as out of the University of Liberty, listed as 5'8", 192 pounds. And tell me if you heard this before. Man, the Patriots got themselves a dynamic, route-running, first down creating slot machine at the wide receiver position. That's what Pop Douglas is. He accounted for he had 79 targets last year, 49 receptions for 561 receiving yards, over 11 yards per catch, 0 receiving touchdowns, which is a travesty, but he had 26 first downs. So 26 of his 49 receptions were converted for first downs. And this young man brings the type of chain mover, quick twitch, separator at the slot receiver position that this offense has always had. The Deion Branches, the Troy Browns, the Julian Edelmans, the Danny Amendolas. The list goes on, man. Like this has been a staple of their offense for decades, where the slot, where most teams point their number one receiver, their point role in the offense, in the passing offense, was the X receiver. While most teams prioritize the 6'3s and 6'4s and 215, 20-pound receivers that I can throw the jump ball to and be physical and all those good things, the New England Patriots said, yeah, we're going to kill you with a death. You're going to die with a death by 1,000 cuts. We can get first down. At the first down, we're going to churn out 12 play drives and run off 8 minutes off the clock. We're going to keep your defense on the field. And having guys like Demario Pop Douglas is going to help them do those similar things in 2024. And when you look at this receiving room, where you bring in, or you've brought in Javon Baker, right, Jalen Polk, when you've brought in guys like that, right, into this locker room, into this receiving room, you have to, if you're Pop Douglas, you have to go out there and really prove that you're the guy. You have Tyquan Thornton, who has not lived up anywhere close to to where he was drafted, right? You have KJ Osborne, depth guy. Jalen Reagor, special teams, depth guy. Juju Smith-Schuster, a good veteran and depth guy who can also be a starter in a kind of possession power slot role. Like, again, Kayshon Boutte, you drafted him 6th, 7th round last year, and he showed some good things when he was on the field and whatnot. And the off the field stuff is now cleared up with his case and so forth and so on. Now you have him being a young guy. You have Javon Baker, Jalen Polk, Demario Pop Douglas is going, and then you got Kendrick Bourne, who's also supposed to be the other starter. So with Pop Douglas, he's going to have those one-on-ones. You could talk about the option routes, the quick slants, whip routes, different things of that nature. Those change of directional type of routes. He's going to bring that to the table, and when he does, that's going to give Jacoby Brissett an easy, quick option. But also, whenever Drake May gets onto the field, so for me, I expect Pop Douglas to be a fixture in this offense. Like I said, what was it last year? With a much worse quarterback play in Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi, 79 targets. Okay, 79 targets, averaging over almost 11.5 yards per reception. I think that number's going to go up. 500 and some odd change, 500 some change through the air. As a receiver, I think he's going to get closer to 1,000. I think he gets more opportunities. I would be shocked if he is not a 100 target receiver, right? You know what I mean? And then the quality of targets go up. So now you're a 100 target receiver. Maybe he catches 75 to 80 of those 100 targets. Now he's a 1,100 yard receiver with 5 to 8 touchdowns. And we're talking about one of the better slot receivers in the NFL, right? And I think that's what you're hoping for if you're a New England Patriot fan. And I think this year, yes, do they have a bona fide number one? No. And to me, that's fine. Then, that's fine because yes, you want a guy that can force safeties to rover, hover, rotate, all that good stuff, all those terminologies, right? But then when you have just an even keel, just, hey, we're even across the board, now they got to play you honest. They got to play you honest. And it's like, okay, well, what do we really take away? And then if you're playing the passing game honest, that gives you the running game. It's just, it helps the offense, right? And eventually you could still change the math by whoever has the hot hand because they're going to try to take that guy away. Then you get the ball to someone else and keep feeding and moving the ball, matriculating the ball down the field, as the old coach. I can't remember which coach said that, but, we all seen the NFL films clip. Let's matriculate the ball down the field, guys. But, yes, I think for me, with Demario Pop Douglas, man, I think that the expectations for him is to shine. This with Christian Gonzalez, Alex Austin, this defense they have, Kyle Duggar at safety. Well, I believe they still have Jabril Peppers. Yes, they still have Jabril Peppers, Marcus Jones, Sean Wade. They have a talented Marte Mapu, who they drafted last year. They have a talented secondary. Jonathan Jones is still there. Marcellus Dial, a guy they drafted this year. Or they got this during the 2024 NFL draft cycle. So for me, when I look at this secondary, this is an opportunity for Pop Douglas to go out there and win some nice one-on-ones, get some talented guys, whether it's Kyle Duggar, Christian Gonzalez, Marcus Jones, Jonathan Jones, Jabril Peppers, well, the guys I just named, yes, 100% yes. This is an opportunity for him to go out there and be that quick winner. You get into those 11-on-11 situations, and who's winning quickly? Who's getting open for the receiver? Who's at his spot on time, in rhythm, exactly synced up to the quarterback's drop, right? If it's a hit and throw situation where that back foot hits and you want the quarterback to get the ball out right then, you need a receiver to be open for him to do so. And I think, and not even think, I know that Pop Douglas can be that type of receiver, that style receiver for this New England Patriots offense. So yes, 110%, guys. I am in on Demario Pop Douglas. I think it is his time to shine. Again, to be able to carve out that slot role to where no one else is going to get it. But then factoring in that Javon Baker and Jalen Polk will eventually get on the field, and those two guys could eventually be you're talking about week 15, 16, 17, and 18 to close out the season. That could be your top 3 wide receivers, right? All young guys drafting the last two drafts. This team, Elliot Wolf, who's the GM, has been aggressive, trying to get Calvin Ridley, trying to make a play at Brandon Ayuk during the draft. He wanted, that's why he double dipped at receiver. So yes, without a doubt, I truly believe that Demario Pop Douglas is in for a big season, and it starts during the 2024 NFL training camp. But guys, that's my training camp preview. Just getting into some of the pass catchers, man, some dangerous, athletic, young playmakers at the wide receiver position. So can't wait to talk more about training camp when Keith returns on tomorrow for the rest of this week, guys. But thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shot for being our everydayers. Go subscribe and follow for free wherever you listen to podcasts to get the latest episode as soon as it is available, guys. On the audio side, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, go ahead and leave a 5-star review. Go ahead on Apple Podcasts, leave a comment to review with a 5-star, man. Tell us how you appreciate the show, man. Just show some love and support this show. Your guys, DP and Coach K, Keith Sanchez. But guys, on tomorrow's show, we're going to get into those defenders that we talked about last week. Latu Latu. We're going to talk about Jared Verse, and we're going to talk about Dallas Turner. We're talking about those are the top 3 edge rushers for the 2024 NFL draft class. What are the expectations for them during training camp? We're going to keep previewing training camp as the days go on. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow. The Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.